So now I'm going to do an audio version of one I just did. And it's such a crazy story that nobody would really believe it. But you have to go back to Genesis, where Eve dropped us down into sin, and the devil deceived Eve, which is the flesh side of Adam, the weaker vessel. So the flesh is nothing but sin. The flesh is under authority. That's why the wife should obey the husband, because she's the weaker vessel. Eve, evening, night. That's why they worship. That's why Eve worships the moon. The night cycle. They work in the night. They do their work in the night, right? In the bedroom at night. That's where Eve does her main work, right? They worship the moon. They worship the moon cycle. They worship the evening events. Women like to go to events. Why? Event. Eve-N-T. They go to events. They got to be going to plays, to movies, to eat, go out to eat. They got to go out and be seen, right? At night. Go to the clubs and the bars, and they're always doing some kind of event. Who's the best event planner? Eve. The top event planners are the female, right? What is the richest singer? She does her little events, you know. The painted face, the system is a painted face system. It's really just mud and clay, but they paint their face. There's really no truth in there. It's just drama and chaos and showing off the shape of her body. She has no truth, but she has a sine wave body. It's the snake on the pole. When you go to the topless bar, the woman's a snake on a pole, which mocks Jesus. When you go to the doctor, there's a snake on the pole. The doctors know that only Jesus heals, so they have to put the symbology right in your face, the snake on the cross, because it's all about Jesus. And they actually start to heal you. They actually start to heal you before you do any healing. I mean, before they give you any medicine, because they put their thumb on your wrist and change the sine wave. So you got into sin, and they have to put their hand on your pulse to change the sine wave. They put a piece of wood on your tongue, and you say, ah, change the vibration. And I know I'm telling the truth, because if you ever get acid reflux, just eat some peanuts, and it heals your acid reflux in like 2 seconds. Peanut butter or peanuts will heal your acid reflux, because it changes the sine wave of your throat. And don't eat after a certain time. God is telling you, don't eat after 5 or 6 or something like that. Then you'll never get acid reflux again, because you get it when you lay down, right? And so everything has been revealed. Everything has been decoded. The reason that the narcissistic Jezebel wants to get you into drama and chaos is because it's the sine wave, it's the sin wave, it's the snake. And because her daddy's the snake, she has to act like the snake. And she has to slither around with other guys and behind your back while you're at work. She has to slither around to the neighbors or the mailman or the milkman or whatever, because she's the snake. Unless she got born again, unless she gets saved, born again, you can't trust her. I don't care what kind of woman it is. If she's not reborn, born from above, you don't trust her. I got this crazy driver driving all over the road, right? Like they're crazy. It's a trip. Anyway, I'm going down the highway. So when Eve dropped us down into evening, the death cult, the night, she drops us down into the death cult. And so when Eve dropped us down into the death cult, everything became worship me, worship the Mother Earth, worship the clay, worship the painted face system. So when you put a facade on a building, and paint your house and all. You got this woman walk down the street, walking her dog, and she says, oh, he's got him a nice house. She don't care about what's under the sheetrocks or the electrical, the plumbing and all that. All she sees is the painted face. So she's drawn to that because that's what she is. You're drawn to what you are. You only know what you are. The inside and the outside are the same. You can only be drawn to what you are. And because Eve is a shorty to Adam, she's drawn to Adam. Her desire shall be to her husband. So if you go back to Genesis 3, you can decode this whole system. And it's called a system because it's system. Sister. It's all painted face. That's all it is. It's all a bunch of talk, a bunch of show. I promise you. The PMS of the system is ridiculous. You might go in tomorrow and they tell you that we sold the business, you no longer have a job, you better go get another job. Okay. And that's why it tells you in Proverbs to get good at a trade, because if you're good at a trade, you can always get a job. And that's why they want you going to the university and you don't have a trade. You can always get a job if you have a trade, right? That's why they wanted to shut that down. If you can do electrical, plumbing, heating and air, whatever, you can always find a job because you have a trade. And they didn't want you to know that. And so the painted face system, and every time I say system, you better think of sister. Because the system is no different than the sister. I grew up with the unsaved. And I don't think I ever had I don't even think my whole life, my sister and I never had a conversation. I mean, we never said, she can't even have a conversation. The aunts, the mom, the uncles you could talk to. But the women in the family never had a conversation with them. Not one time. They can't even have a decent conversation. They're lost. I can have a conversation with a born again sister, but the unsaved sisters, you can't even have a conversation. And think about the unsaved women. What are they talking about? They're only talking about drama. They're not talking about anything significant. It's all about drama. Well, you looked at, well, does he love me? Does he look at, what's he doing? What? He told you what. Why can't you live in peace? Why can't you live in silence? Why can't you live in contentment? Why does it always have to be drama? Because it's the drama system, the Draco Ma drama system. The man can sit there and design a building and be happy designing some trusses for, doing some truss work. I just went to the restaurant and this man and his woman pulled up and they were dressed pretty decent, And I was standing outside eating my sandwich, doing a recording. And they walk in there. It's cold. He runs back out to the car and gets her coat for her. Like she's the queen bee. And then he goes back in, gives her a coat. They stand there. They walk out. They don't even stay in there. And he's looking at her like, if we go down here, he was saying something like, why not just stay here? Something upset her. She's standing there. He said, just eat here. We came here to eat here. Let's go eat here. And she didn't want to stay there. And so she went out to the car and his puppy dog eyes like, okay. Everything's closed. They're going to find out there's nowhere else to eat. My point is, the queen bee system wants you to serve the queen bee system. And so all their music reveals it. All their systems reveal it. They want you in the system. It's the 666 hive mind, the cube, the death cult. So the system, which is the flesh side of Adam, the system wants you worshiping the flesh, serving the flesh, worshiping a flesh creature, a flesh body, something that's going back to the grave, worshiping Mother Earth, worshiping the clay and the dirt and the rocks and the drama, the draconian machine. They want you worshiping the movies and the music. They're stuck on their music. They're stuck on their emotions. They want you to worship your emotions, which are what? Up and down, up and down, up and down. Instead of being steady state, they want you to worship the sine wave, which is the snake. They want you to worship something of the earth. They only know what they are. The flesh creatures, man or woman, they just only see the earth. And when you tell them, hey, that points to a spiritual truth, that points to a higher truth. You can be steady state if you study His Word and you stand on the promises of God and the principles of God. But no, you want your emotions because you don't feel alive unless you have emotions, because they're dead in trespasses and sins. It's a death cult because they're dead. They're born in sin. They're dead. So they have to have these emotional ups and downs and outbursts and be worshipped, and because they're running on the program of the system, the devil's lie, which Eve dropped us all down into. Until you get born again, you got to have some kind of feeling and emotion. You got to worship me. What about my birthday? What about the holidays? Well, the Bible says some people consider one day the same, and some people consider other days higher than another. I don't care about your birthdays. I don't care about your holidays. I don't care about your music. I don't care about your TV. I don't care about none of your drama. I noticed growing up, I would watch my mom and my sister and the aunts and all. They would be all excited they would get all bent out of shape about their birthday. And if it didn't go right, and they'd go to the family reunion, and they'd be all happy, let's go to the family reunion. And then when they went to the family reunion, they were talking about everybody. They hated everybody. But then they went back and they just did the cycle over again. They hate people, but they want that event. They're drawn to the event. They're drawn to the drama. They're drawn to the music, the TV, the soap operas. Their life has to be a soap opera, or they don't feel alive. They don't feel like they're alive because they're in a death cult, because they're dead in trespasses and sins, because they've never been born again. And so everything about them is death. Sine wave, sin wave, drama, music, TV, stupid movies, football, basketball, events, some kind of event, because Eve is the event. Mother Earth is an event. And they're never in steady state love, because they don't even know what love is, because they never received the love of God. And so the love of God is steady. But the love of the earth, the system, is up and down, moon, mints, blood. That's why they want a blood sacrifice. That's why they think in the win lose, because they think somebody else has to sacrifice, and they don't want to sacrifice. They don't want to work. They don't want to die. They don't want to sacrifice. Dying daily is not what they want. They want pleasure. And that sugar and that drinking and that those bad habits are killing them. And then when they get older, they wonder why they got neuropathy and all that, because they just killed themselves for pleasure. If they would have just went out there and mowed the yard and sweat and washed dishes and clean and all that, they wouldn't be that way. But they're lazy. The more lazy they get, the more they hurt themselves. They want to be a fat cat. They want to be served. Wash my feet. Serve me. But the fat cat ends up destroying themselves, and their inheritance goes to people that never really loved them. They have the flying monkeys, and those flying monkeys, they leave the money for them, and the flying monkeys hated them and probably was setting them up the whole time. And they were probably poisoning the fat cat and trying to get that person to die really fast so they could get their Social Security or whatever it is, because it's all about the snake. If you can get a hold of what I'm telling you, all your movies and all your TV shows and all your tarot reading and all your music and music videos is about worshiping Mother Earth, the death cult, the sine wave. They want you to worship death. They want you to worship the flesh. Eve is the flesh side of Adam. They want you to worship pleasure and the flesh. And if a man would wake up when he's young and think, well, you know, this feels good, but after about 2 or 3 months, it's going to become routine because the man and the woman become one. And so it's just like you become one. It becomes routine. And so I better marry a woman that I love in the spirit, not because of sex or looks or outward show or painted face. I better marry a woman who I love in the spirit, that we can talk about spiritual things, that we can grow spiritually. And the physical part, whether it's there or not, it comes and goes, whatever. It don't matter, because we're talking about stuff that's spiritual and eternal, and we have eternal love. And we both can help each other grow spiritually. But most will never get there because they think what I'm saying is crazy. But if you have any kind of discernment, if you've listened to me long enough, I'm watching this bird on my fence. He's like a little bird, but he's got a loud whistle now. That's him right there. So anyway, I'm not saying that the earth plane is a bad thing. God gave it to us for our benefit. But if you worship these birds, if you worship these trees, or if you worship this clay, or you worship the Jezebel, or you worship the Delilah, you're going down, and it's going to kill you. The Bible makes it clear we bring this earth under subjection. We're to bring the earth under subjection. Bring your emotions under subjection. Bring your emotions under subjection to the truth. But most people worship their emotions. They want to feel their emotions because they're dead. They got to have that rush, that dopamine rush, or they're not alive. They got to have that dopamine rush, or they feel dead because they are dead. There's no peace, saith the Lord, to the wicked. The Bible says to mark the perfect man, for the end of that man is peace. You can use the litmus test or the thermometer of peace to see which kingdom they're in. As I'm talking, I got a Jezebel that came out of the door, started their car. I got one across the street yelling at the dog. The reason they like the dogs and the cats, because it gives them that little emotional dopamine, but it's also that dog and that cat can't rebuke them and rise them up to the next level. They only live in the flesh. And they got to have the yelling and the screaming and the drama and the cursing and the yelling and the fighting and the events and the up and down sine wave. The sine wave is the snake. They got to have something going on all the time. They got to have some kind of way to try to stress you out, get your attention, pull you into some kind of storyline, because behind it, the archons are watching. And if they're a witch or warlock, they're being controlled by the devil. And so all the movies are really, all the death cult movies and the music is all about the death cult that we're really in. So you're actually going to a movie, watching yourself. You're listening to music about yourself. Instead of you cutting off the noise and being with God in steady state, you would rather watch yourself in the movie theater or on the radio or on the TV or on the Netflix or on the series, and it's actually about you. And it's not just the women, it's the men. That guy just went by at the halfway house. Listen to that lady screaming, yelling for no reason. They gotta have attention. They gotta have attention, and they gotta have. I'm out here just sitting in my car and listen. Listen. Can you hear that? These people can never have peace. There's no peace, saith the Lord to the wicked. I'm just sitting here. I got one that just drove off beside me. I got one that was on the left-hand side, another one on the right, and then another one in front. And they're just yelling and screaming at each other and getting mad at their dog, throwing a fit. There's no peace. They have no peace. When you see through them, it makes them mad. When you're stoic, when they're in the drama and you're just looking at them in a stoic mindset, you're like, are you okay? You're thinking, are you okay? They know you see through them and they can't stand it because they know that you see the devil in them because the drama, the Draco-Ma system is the drama system, and they can't stand it. They can't stand it. And they try to manipulate you with the sine wave. The woman tries to manipulate with sex, or the woman tries to manipulate with drama, or attention, or her hairdo, or her body, or whatever. And then I gotta know. Got another one. I mean, I'm just sitting here watching a movie. I'm actually watching a movie. Look. Look, listen. I can't even sit in my car without drama. I can't even sit in my car without drama. I'm watching a movie, and then I got this red car come by. Like telling that dog something without grabbing him by the neck is going to do something. They love that. And that lady that's walking, so the man and woman walking their dog, she's just thinking that's just great. She loves that drama. And the guy that's yelling at the dog, he ain't even grabbing the dog. He's just yelling to get attention. It's always about attention and loose and attention. They want to be seen. Then you got this other dog barking. They just love to be seen. And she's just happy. I mean, this is making her happy. She loves it. The two dogs almost fighting. She is smiling from ear to ear. They love the drama. You think I'm joking? This is real, people. I'm actually talking about it, and it's playing out right in front of me. I'm sitting in my car, in my driveway. One Jezebel, who's trouble, starts the car up. The lady in front of me is throwing a food bowl at the dog, causing drama, yelling, screaming. The one beside me to my right, he's yelling and screaming. Instead of grabbing the dog, he's just yelling at the dog because he wants attention. The ones walking down the street, their dog is provoking the other dog, and she's smiling from ear to ear because she loves the drama. Then you got these fake airplane drones going above you. Every city you go in, there's the drones circling around. I mean, this is a movie, people. I'm watching a movie. I'm watching the sine wave, the snake. If everybody was in the spirit walk, it would be calm. I promise you, they are their own worst enemy. If you stay in steady state, they're going to try to get in. They're going to send an agent. They're going to send a devil. The high priest, the high priestess of the moon people, the dark side. They're going to send a Delilah, Jezebel, harlot, whore into your life who's in a cult, who pretends to be religious but lost, a hell-bound sinner, saying, oh, I'm in love with you. And then they're going to try to pull you into the bedroom drama, and then try to get you they pull you in and say, oh, I'm in love with you. Then they're going to flip it and say, oh, I want you to worship me. And you say, are you stupid? Are you stupid? And they don't want to do what's right. They don't want to get married and do right and submit and go to find them a ministry to win souls. No, they just have a ministry of flesh, the world, the flesh, and the pride of life, pleasure of this earth. Their ministry is not to win souls. So a man should marry a woman that she's willing to help him win souls if he's saved. But their ministry is the woman wants you to marry her for pleasure so she can take souls to hell with her. And you are a Ahab and you let her take souls to hell with her. That's what she wants. That's why she wants a drunk, because she can't control a man unless he's a drunkard. Because then she can gaslight him. It's all about the flesh. They worship the flesh, which is the death cult. The flesh is nothing but sin. They worship the pride of life, their position, their job, their power. That's probably that red car. No, that's the guy with the dog going crazy. He's part of the death cult too. I'm watching a movie. I don't need a TV. I don't need Netflix. I don't need to watch Jerry Springer. I sit in my front yard in the driveway and I'm watching Jerry Springer, even with the birds fighting. I'm watching Jerry Springer in my driveway. I'm watching the drama in my driveway. I'm watching these bees. I'm watching these birds. I'm watching these humans. I'm watching these dogs fight. The birds are fighting. The bees are fighting. The dogs are fighting. The humans are fighting. I'm in a movie. I'm in the death cult, watching it from the outside in as a born-again person who's alive. I'm a live, eternal creature watching these death cult members play in the sandbox of 3D stupidity, and I'm sitting here in the 5D, in the spirit, and in peace, and they don't like me in peace, so they send drone airplanes around. They send people who are full of drama to my right, to my left, across the street, and you have no peace in this death cult except for eternal peace. And I'm sitting here laughing about it. I just saw this big blackbird, grab some food off somebody's porch. He flew away, and these 3 little birds chased after him for that food. Not even joking. I'm watching the death cult. Every time I walk out my front door, I'm watching the death cult because I don't have a TV. I don't have music. I haven't listened to music in 10 years. I ain't listened to TV in 30 years because I know what the music is. It's all a death cult. When you see past this 3D fake simulated reality that the God of this world you realize is a Truman Show, and you finally step out of the Truman Show and you're looking at it from the outside in awareness, and you're looking at your wife or your kids or your mama or your daddy, and they're saying, we got to meet together for the holidays. If you don't, I'm going to be miserable. We got to have this. We got to all get together. And you step out of that and you say, well, I got to have a higher calling. Why don't you, I ain't seen you in ages. Stop smoking and I'll come over and see you, because I don't want my clothes to smell like smoke. Stop cursing and I'll come see you. Stop drinking and I'll come see you. Get saved and I'll be over there every weekend. I don't want to be around all you thieves and you liars and you con artists. I don't want to be around all you lazy people who want somebody else to do it for you. You think I want to hang out with you? I have no fellowship with the dark side. I have no fellowship with your events, your football, your basketball, your college basketball. I have no fellowship with the dark side, because it's all a sine wave, repeat, stupid. If I've been to one hockey game, I've been to them all. If I watch one Super Bowl, I've watched them all. Let's talk about something real. I want to talk about the same repeat. What did you learn from the red versus blue? What did you learn from that repeat? You're stuck in a program. You're an AI flesh-minded creature stuck in a 666 cube, and you don't even know that you're dead and you're blind. Neo, wake up. You're in a repeat. Every moment is deja vu. It's already happened. What shall be has been. What has been shall be. It's all a repeat construct. And these birds are running on a program. These bees are running on a program. Everything's running. You're running on a program because the flesh mind is the AI flesh mind program. And your mama and your bloodline. And the reason you get all bent out of shape because your bloodline is your program. Or your culture is your program. And you can't even hear what I'm saying. You're going to call me crazy and mean. He's mean. He hates women. No, I don't. I love the born again women because I can talk to them. But I hate the flesh mind, whether it's my neighbor, whether it's myself. I hate the flesh mind in myself. I don't hate anybody. I want to see everybody get saved. Because I know it's the devil deceiving them. They have to run on that program or they couldn't function. Why do you think they can't stop drinking? The doctor told my dad, said, if you don't quit drinking, you're going to kill yourself. He didn't care about his daughter, his son. He didn't care about his own health. He drank himself to death. At 50, he died. His throat was bleeding. He died because he was running on a program. He was deceived by the system. He was chasing skirts when he was younger and thought that was cool. Building him a little business. Was into arm wrestling. Thought he was cool. Wanted to be in the Olympics. Thought he was big and bad. He ended up dying at 50, didn't he? He had a Jezebel woman destroy him. This ain't no game. This ain't no game. Yeah. I'm watching another creature walk down the road. And that face looks familiar, but I don't remember seeing it over here. It's probably an agent spying out. Because the system that you live in has to have spies and they have to have handlers. So they send a handler into your life, a wannabe handler. Everybody has a handler. And when you spy out who the handlers are, they have to, and you finally figure out who the handlers are and you cut that one off, they always send another one. And if they don't have a handler in your life, they send a spy. And that's why they don't like you. Why do you think they always want to know what you're doing? If you're doing stuff behind the scenes and they don't know what you're doing, it makes them mad because the devil has to have spies, right? They're spies. They want to be your handler because if they're not handling you, you're not in the system. And when you step out of the system, the 666 Borg cube hive queen bee of the Borg, they got to have a handler of some kind to pull you in. And all of a sudden, that person walking down the road just disappeared. That person just disappeared. That's weird. All right. Gives you something. You might not agree with everything I said, but it gives you something to think about. And everything I said is the truth, but you're not ready to receive it. That's the only thing. Go listen to Zeph Daniel. He'll tell you your whole life's been a construct. They give you what kind of food they want you to eat. They give you what kind of job. They give you what kind of city ordinances. It's really just, it's easy to see. Imagine being an Indian out in the woods with a teepee. You set your own laws. You set your own traditions. They give you the traditions, the movie, the music, the TV. They're brainwashing you by rubbing shoulders with some of these players in this system. They're brainwashing you just by being next to you. You're being brainwashed by the system and don't even know you're being brainwashed by the system every time you walk out the front door. You don't even know it. And the way I was able to see it is for 10 years I disconnected. Maybe 12 years. Maybe 13. I think for 13 years I isolated myself as much as I could and just cut the noise off, cut everybody off, just so I could see it, because the drama is so intense. And recently, like in January, I stepped out of 5D and went back to 3D and just see if I could do it. And it was so alien to me. If you've been in the 5D for 13 years, it's so alien since 2012. I stepped into 5D in 2012, February of 2012. So 10 years would be 22, 3, 4, 5. So for 13 years, I was out of 5D. I tried to step back into 3D. It was so foreign to me. I was just surrounded by people that I thought, you people are zombies. And y'all don't even know. There's no way to go back in time 13 years with all the progress of seeing past this thing. There's no way. And you're looking at these people and they're just talking about stupid stuff. I mean, really stupid stuff. Agents. They don't even know they're being controlled by the devil and the system and the flesh and the world and the pride of life. They don't even know it. They don't even know it. It's really sad.